anyway. So man, Daniel, we haven't talked in a, a long time. We haven't seen each other in person in 10 years.
Coming through the headphones. 10 years? What?
No. Maybe 8? What, 20? Maybe 2016 or 2017 was the last time I would have been at one of those events.
Yeah, it was that year then.
Yeah. Was that the last year you went?
Can you still hear me? I just changed my mic.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's only
now
gonna.
I can't hear you. Never mind. Okay, so yeah, that was the last year. Okay, forget about that. What'd you say?
Somebody's here. Someone's here with us. I wonder if it's Orpin. If it is Orpin, say hi, or whoever's here, say hi. Tell us where you're from. It's one of my favorite things about doing this is just finding like where people are in the world. Pop in and say hi. Okay, so you and Lisa had the music school back in the 20 teens. You guys were rocking and rolling, and then you just shut down the music school, and
Yeah,
then
pretty much.
students online.
Yeah, and last year we decided to.
Oh wait, real quick. Let's say hi to Jay. Jay, that's one of my online guitar students. Jay, what's up? This is Daniel, and he does electronic music. We're gonna talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah, and guitar.
And guitar, yes.
I still play. I'm playing more now, way more actually.
Yeah. Okay. And then all of your students online are guitar students?
Yeah, mostly it's like maybe 90-10 split of guitar to music production stuff. But it will gradually, I'd say, even out to 50-50, and then
Cool.
Go on the music production side.
How was it with I guess, how did you guys make the decision to shut down the music school and then move and remind me again where you were and where you're at now?
Yeah, we were in Dublin, like where I grew up, Dublin, Ireland, and during all lockdowns and COVID and stuff, it was tough times. It was like, switched everybody onto Zoom, and lockdown started and stopped, and for a couple of years it was like tough, and weird, and we kind of got through it. And like a lot of businesses, we expected that after lockdowns ended, everything would go back to the way it was before, but that didn't happen. People's habits changed. They just never came back to what it was. I've heard the same thing from a lot of other business owners, different kinds of businesses, but like business never went back to what it was pre-COVID. So we kind of let teachers go and ended up with kind of an efficient, streamlined business with just me and Lisa working in it. And then we just kind of decided this is not really like fun anymore, or it's
did it stop being fun? And by the way, so Jay lives in he's on the Isle of Wight.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
In between Ireland and England.
Yeah. So when you guys decided to shut the music school down, do you think it was like you were just burned out from doing it so long, or the fact that like it never I wonder if it felt like kind of how it felt for me? Did it feel like it just had sort of stalled out and like this is it, this is all it's ever going to be?
Yes, definitely. I changed my kind of future vision of it, and it was like, well, yeah, it's definitely plateaued, and it's hard to see it becoming something that would give me a lot more freedom at the time. Me and Lisa worked really hard in that business, and we just like the kind of returns you get from it after a while, after you've been doing it for a really long time, you just start questioning, like, is this worth it? And we thought, like, well, we could just decide to end it, close it, and move somewhere else. And we thought about a lot of different places, and the UK ticks a lot of boxes for us because we don't need visas, because Irish people can live and work in the UK, and vice versa. There's no visa needed or anything. So it was simple. We speak the same language. And it's amazing here in terms of the music scene is like way better than Ireland's. It's like a much bigger country. It's like, you know, 10 times bigger. London, and there's tons of music in Bristol. So that was attractive as well. And it was, yeah, in the end we just decided, yeah, let's go for it. Let's close the school. But well, I closed my school, but I kept like any students who wanted to stay with me on Zoom stayed. So it was like kind of the best of both worlds, like, because I had to keep kind of a core of my community going, which is like really long-term students, like, some of them 7, 8, 9 years with me,
Yeah.
so I know them really well. And it really helped with the move actually to have that kind of continuation.
Yeah, yeah, that is one of the cool things about teaching today is like if you have people in person and then you move or they move, you can still keep working with them. And then as a business owner, it makes life a little bit easier when you're making a big transition. You don't have to give up all your income at once, or have something else like totally locked down yet. But that's cool. I'm so the what's the longest student that you've ever had?
Like, I've got students from near the start of when I started my school. So started in 2014, so it's 9 years.
2014 for me is when I started mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was April 2014, and then I think and 2014 was the first year that I went to the EGTIC events.
All right.
So I had been teaching out of my house for 2 years prior to that.
Yeah.
Growing and I started working with Tom online before, um, I had opened my music school. So, like, that first year I went to the events, it was, the a few months after I had opened my music school. So I've had some students the longest I've had anyone is 11 years, and then I've got several at 10, and then like 9, 8, 7, in there. But it sounds like you've got some students that have been there with you since the beginning, since you first started. What's up,
Like,
Jennifer? How you doing?
hi,
Hey, let us know
Jennifer.
where you're from, by the way. And anyway, go ahead, Daniel.
I also had like been teaching before 2014, but it was like kind of start stop because I'd moved country and I'd been living in. I'd done this big round the world trip 2008 to 2010, and after that I was kind of teaching, yeah, in my house as well here and there. But it was 2013, 2014 when I got my premises and started a school. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
was like a kind of a 10-year period then, 2014 to 2024.
yeah.
That 10 years, which is like almost like a blur. I didn't do much else like apart from the school for 10 years. Although like it was a bit annoying because electronic music has always been kind of my main musical passion. And so I didn't have much time for that for 10 years. So that was a big factor in closing the school because I was like, like I just really want to do more electronic music. It's what I've
Okay.
always wanted to do.
So you and I have had a very similar like path then, because it was the same way for me, where for those 10 years of running my music school, that's pretty much all I did and all I thought about. And then I would still like do some music on the side, but then there were periods for those. I mean, there's only a couple people on here right now, but Daniel and I were in the same like business guitar teaching business group, and ended up becoming like literally a cult, led by a total sociopath. Uh, and there's still a lot of trauma that all of us are unpacking from those days. Uh, but yeah, so I did the music school for 10 years, and I got so zoned in and focused that I sort of lost track of the music for a long time. And then I think we all kind of eventually hit this like breaking point of like, uh now, oh yeah, I forgot about that original thing that I wanted to do, and I've gotten so far away from it. How do I swing back the other way? And I swung really far and sold my music school, but you swung pretty far as well and closed it down and moved to another country to focus more on doing the music.
Yeah. And playing performing more, composing, all those things. So yeah, you're doing much gigging these days? You're performing.
Yeah, yeah, I had a nice long rehearsal last night. I've got a show this weekend, and then a couple shows next weekend. And then I was on the road briefly a few weeks ago, and there's hopefully going to be in the near future doing like a 4 week tour with a group. And then I'm hoping Mila is going to want to tour at some point. So that's like the main. That's like the bucket list thing for me that makes my life kind of, it makes me a crazy person, because I'm so dead set on like that's the one thing I've always wanted to do and I haven't done it yet. And so I'm like almost borderline irresponsible with everything else, because I'm just like so tunnel vision on like that's the thing I want to do. I want to do that. And then of course I have my online guitar lessons business, um, to kind of help support that main vision.
Yeah. Well, what kind of stuff do you play? Are you playing like original material?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no. Well, yes, it depends. I have right now this past year I've been focused on like I'll just play with anyone and everyone, whether it's originals or covers, because I just need to meet more musicians. And the more people I know, the more gig opportunities will come my way. So I might meet somebody at a cover gig show, or even like playing at a church, and then they might think of me for something else that's coming up. And then if they're planning on going on the road, or they know someone who's going on the road and they're like, hey, we need a guitar player, they'd be like, oh, there's that guy Eric I met at the thing, he said he was wanting to tour. Um, but I am finding that playing original music is generally more satisfying, even if it's not my own. Like knowing that I'm supporting an artist's original vision is like cool. This is like they're growing something. Whereas like when I'm playing covers, uh, it's pretty fun. Like for instance, you know, we're doing a lot of Shania Twain on this upcoming one. Uh, so it's fun stuff to play. But then there comes a point where like as you're rehearsing or even in the middle of a show, you're kind of like, well, this was somebody else's hit 30 years ago. Like what are we what are we doing here, other than helping people that are there just have a great time, which there's value in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
What do you get to are there any live performing opportunities for you with electronic music, or is it really mostly an online platform?
yeah, there's live stuff that's coming up. It's harder to break into the electronic scene for live than it is for jazz and guitar stuff. So I've been going to this jazz jam session on Sundays in Bristol. And that's really cool for meeting musicians and playing. It's a really cool vibe there, you know, compared to other cities I've been in. It's not like a cutthroat competitive vibe. Like if you're in Dublin or London and you went to a jazz jam session, they'd be like, who's this new person? Like, call some really hard tune really fast and like, see what
Try
they can do.
to keep you out.
But in Bristol, it's much more like chilled, nice. Really like the musicians who play there. Like the way they do it, they have like the first set is the house band with a guest musician, and then the second set is whoever happens to be there can come up and sit in, and the guest musician plays with them as well. And it's just like a lovely kind of vibe. There's a few music students, but there's also like really, really good musicians who are just like they pass by, they drop in and just like have a play. It's really cool. And I've been doing that, the past few weeks. I'm going to keep doing that. And I think I will eventually be picking up gigs that way as I get to like know the musicians there.
Cool, cool. And I imagine even, I mean, because I feel like a lot of jazz guys that I know, or most musicians I know, aren't into just one style of music. And so I'm sure you're going to meet somebody that has a connection in the electronic,
Oh,
area.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's totally overlaps. Like I met a drummer last Sunday there, and he was like, "Oh, I'm doing this project with this guy who does modular synths." So yeah, everything's like a bit of a melting pot, especially in Bristol. There's like tons of interesting, quite like experimental. Like I've been to some gigs here that are crazy out there, but like it's a sold out gig and there's like 350 people, like a medium sized venue. And I'm
Wow.
realizing like back in Dublin, there really wasn't, if you had that same kind of weird, kind of improvised, dubby, weird music, there'd be like 30 people would turn up. But in Bristol, it's like a sold out gig, you know. So
Uh,
it's,
really cool.
it's a very adventurous place musically.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds like people are more supportive and like, hey, we're all in this together. I'm here to have a good time, not just like uh, I'm I'm trying to step on you to get somewhere else.
Yeah, it is. It's a good community is one of the strong things about Bristol. And like, yeah, you know, it's a challenging as well to move anywhere new. Like I've been here 6 months now, and for in the winter was kind of hard. It wasn't like going out there, and you really have to like continuously make yourself go out to jams, events, things like that. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's hard to integrate into the new place where you are. So yeah, there was like
yeah.
the winter was kind of long and hard, and weather-wise as well, it was like grim. But I didn't see sun for a long time.
I lived in northern Michigan for 6 years, and when I was up there, it was in the winter time, man, like everyone's enjoying it for the first few months, but after about 4 or 5 months of not seeing the sun, uh, people start thinking some real dark thoughts. And just when everybody's about to go off the deep end, the sun will finally peak out, and then everyone's anti-anxiety vitamin D comes in, and everyone's happy again.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we just today is like that. It's like
Really?
sunny today. Yeah,
Oh, nice,
about
nice.
like 10 degrees warmer than yesterday.
Yeah, being in Texas, I mean, it's the temperature's been fluctuating wildly, but it's like mostly sunny year round. And I thought I would hate not having a real winter anymore, but now it's the older I get, the more I find pleasantness in consistently sunny days.
Yeah, I would like some of that. And like, what you're in Fort Worth, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So would
Which
you
is
play gigs
like
in
most
Dallas?
people around the world wouldn't even know exists. So that's
Is
amazing. Remember that.
is it near Dallas? Like, would you
Yeah.
go and play gigs in Dallas like
Yeah.
easily?
Yeah. So the cool thing is, like in Fort Worth, there's a great community of musicians. And it's like you said, like you have to be going out on a very consistent, regular basis to really get plugged in and meet people. But I find most of the time the shows are going to be in Dallas, the bigger shows, and that's great too. It's very like Dallas is only about a half hour drive or about a 45-minute train ride from Fort Worth. So going to Dallas is really easy and vice versa. So there's a lot of back and forth between Fort Worth and Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, talking about go moving somewhere and playing jam sessions. During the lockdowns, I did some interviews with guitarists and musicians and stuff. I was doing that on YouTube to like, with just to like do something for the school to students, whoever wanted to come and watch. So I was like, did this one interview with a bass player called Tanya O'Callaghan, who's from Ireland, and she is doing extremely well. Really, really great person and bass player, and just like amazing. So she's from a like tiny town in Ireland, and she studied the same place I studied, New Park Music. It's called New Park Music Center. It was called, where we both did like a. She did 1 year there. I studied like 4 years there and did jazz there. But anyway, she was like this bass player in Ireland, unknown, and she was like practicing on her own, getting better and better. And then at some point, she just was like, I'm gonna move to LA, and just moved to LA, and went to jam sessions there regularly and started picking up gigs. And I can't remember what her first big gig was, but she's played with like Kiss and Whitesnake. She is the bass player for Whitesnake.
What?
She's one of the like top bass players in the world, literally.
That's
Like
amazing. That's so,
totally inspiring.
it's like Ben Stein used to say, like, you just, if you've got the talent, you go to the center of where things are happening, and things will start happening for you. When my wife and I, when Reagan and I started dating, um, all those years ago, I told her, I was like, hey, I'm getting ready to move to LA in the next 6 months, because I think I just need to be there. And then, you know how it goes. One thing led to another. Before I knew it, we were getting married. And I was like, oh, we're going to start a family. I got to provide. So then the LA thing never happened. And then last year, I talked with the Mark, who used to drum. He was the drummer for Pink for 15 years. He drummed with like Cher and Stevie Nicks and like top of the top. And I asked him, I'm like, what do I need to do to get to that level? And he's like, I'm not gonna lie. He's like, it's gonna be harder because of where you live. It's not that you can't do it, and you just got to start networking there. He's like, but really, perfect world, you move to LA or New York or Nashville. And I was like, I knew it. So I brought it up with Reagan several times over the past several years. I was like, hey, what if we rented out our house here in Fort Worth, go to LA for a couple of years? It's like, wouldn't that be an adventure? And she's just like, no, zero chance. So I got to figure out, how to make it work here. The good news is there are some huge artists that come out of Dallas Fort Worth, and um, yeah, that's still, I don't care about anybody knowing who I am. I love playing shows, big or small, but I like the as I've gotten to play with kind of like better and better musicians, it's really pushed me and challenged me in new ways. And I just love the idea of playing great music with great people, even just average music. When you play with incredible musicians, it's like there is no feeling like it. And then when you have a big crowd to play for, I just it's addicting.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this, like that is a big difference between the like electronic stuff, which tends to be quite solitary. You're making it on your own. If you play live, like, or kind of do a hybrid DJ live set, but it's on your own. There's a whole kind of just like a lot of time on your own doing it. And when you play music with other people, like the social connection, it's really like playing jazz with people. It's like you say, it's real, just incredible experience. Like I missed it not doing it for 10 years. I was playing very few gigs, maybe only one or two a year. The
Yeah.
last few weeks playing like jazz sessions, I've been like, it's a communication on another level, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally is. Yeah, there's nothing scarier to me than performing by myself. Like, I'll do it. I'll sit there with a guitar and sing songs and whatever. But I prefer the security blanket of there being a bunch of other musicians on stage and sort of like just blending in. Once in a while you get your chance to kind of stand out, but most of the time not being the center of attention. I like supporting the the star and not being the star.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I used to always tell my students that the like, yeah, the less people on stage, the scarier it is. Like if you're on your own, that's it's insane pressure. Everyone's like just complete attention is on you every single second. You really have to be like confident to do that. And then if there's two people, okay, yeah, you share half, 50-50. Three people, it's a bit, more fun. If you play in a big band with like 20 people, it's just so fun. You just like no attention's on you individually. So
Yeah.
you just like have the best time.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, you get to focus on just enjoying the music and enjoying the company of the that camaraderie of the people around you. versus when you're by yourself, and it's the kind of that feeling of isolation. I spend enough time in isolation, uh like you said, like a lot of the stuff I do for my online business, and like preparing, practicing and preparing for shows and stuff, I'm spending a lot of time alone. And I find, number one, teaching music um really feeds me in terms of that social connection, and I get a lot of joy out of just watching students grow over time. And then the social connection of playing live. So those things, I think, kind of help keep me from, going crazy.
Yeah, yeah, same. You do have to be happy to spend a lot of time alone for creative endeavors and writing music, all the rest of it. Or if you're a writer or something, you're gonna be like alone a lot, and you have to be comfortable with that as well. But it's nice to have the social things to go out and do to like counteract it. Otherwise, you kind of go crazy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, real quick before we go, there's a couple people on here right now. There's 5 people here right now. Tell everybody about, and tell me about your electronic music. Like, what brand of electronic music is it? What is it? What does it sound like? And yeah, just let's talk about your music.
Yeah, it's a kind of like branding nightmare. It's like really, I've done so many different styles. I started getting into techno in the 90s. I was like making pretty straightforward techno back then. Actually,
Like,
my
I
next
picked
release,
the
yeah,
Matrix. That kind of a sound. Was
oh,
was your music of that era?
with the 90s era.
Well, yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, like you've seen The Matrix, right?
Oh, the Matrix. Yeah, the Matrix. Um, I can't remember the music in it, but no, I don't think it would have been like that. It was
Okay.
like actually the next release that I have coming out is music that I made in 97 and 98 that like my friend, it was on cassette tapes, and I didn't even know my friend like kept them, and she gave me some cassettes last year. I digitized them. I'm releasing that on the 28th of
So this
March.
is
So
like when
that's
when you were a teenager, yeah.
I was in school. Yes, it's called School Tracks 98, part 1 and part 2. And
Cool.
they're actually like what I started making back then.
Did you
So
have you converted them to digital?
yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool. Okay? So, and that well, for the new album, is it? Did you rebuild them from the ground up, or were you able to take? You were able to take the actual recordings.
Yeah, just I just literally just recorded the cassette onto like software, and then I sent it to a mastering engineer to, just master it. But it does sound like, you can hear the tape hiss and everything at the start. So like, I just it's as it sounded in the 90s. It's like a time capsule kind of thing.
Whoa. Okay, so it's not like you're like, hey, I've got these old songs. Let's now that I wrote. Now let's re-record it. It's like this is what you did back then.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's what? How did you? What were you recording it on?
Like I recorded the tapes. I borrowed a vintage cassette player, so it's a good Sony vintage like cassette recorder player. So I played the cassettes from that into Ableton through my sound card, and just like it was pretty low level, so high amount of hiss. Like, at the time in the 90s, it was always like, oh, this sounds so bad, because you wanted to get rid of all the hiss. And then, years later in the digital world, we realized that like having no hiss means no character. Everything's too clean, everything's boring. So now I'm just like, screw it. I'll just put out this, even though it's like warts and all kind of stuff, but it
I mean,
still sounds good to me.
so some of my favorite albums aren't that well produced.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like I love a highly polished, produced album, but at the same time, sometimes these just like low budget records that people make, there's a magic to them that you can't replicate.
Yeah, that's what I teach all my production students is like you don't have to be, getting the latest plugins and making it all shiny. You have to have good ideas, and you have to present them so that they just get the ideas get across to the listener. It doesn't have to be the best production, but also it can't be like so bad that it's kind of all crunched up and distorted.
I
Unless you want.
way about like guitar as well. Like just buying the nicest guitar isn't gonna really do anything for you. It's like you don't want to be practicing on a, a cheapo thing that's not inspiring. You want to find something that inspires you and brings out the best in you. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, you don't have to have the best plugins. You don't have to have the best gear. You do have to have things, tools that are capable and can get the job done. But then most of it is you just got to put in the time.
Yeah, exactly. Time is exactly it. I always say that is the most important thing. Time. It's just like putting in the hours. It gets better and better and better. All the great music you love had that same element of, time put into it, and just like magic happened.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so the new music you have coming out as ZOiD you, is 90s techno. That is what
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's my next couple of releases will be that. My last release is this record here. This is like a really long
Oh my
term
god, I
project that
love the artwork so much.
I worked on this album for like 17 years on and off. It was a really long project. It's called ZOiD versus the Jazz. It's called ZOiD versus Musicians, Volume 2. This is Volume 2. So
That's
it's like the concept is there's a guest musician on each track, and it's electronic music, but there's a musician, like a real musician, if you like, playing an instrument. So there's like bass, clarinet, saxophones, guitar, drums. There's all different musicians, and each track's different. And yeah, I released that like in November last year.
well, we could say instead of a real musician, right? We could say there's a a, a non-digital instrument
Yeah,
on each.
it's an acoustic instrument, really.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. One of my favorite bands is the Aquabats, and they're like West Coast '90s ska stuff. But the idea is they're like superheroes, and they would dress up as superheroes. They even had a kids show for a little while called the Aquabats Super Show, and their albums are like Attack of the Aquabats, uh, Return of the Aquabats. The it's so like or like the Aquabats versus whatever. And so I love the idea of ZOiD versus. I love things like that, and that kind of artwork, like that, is right up my alley. I'm gonna pull this up on.
Yeah, you find it on zoid.bandcamp.com. The artist who did this artwork is a New York-based artist, Shane Ingersoll, who I've known for a really long time. And we worked on it over about
Wait, sorry,
4 months.
who's the artist?
That artist is Shane Ingersoll. It's all hand drawn. Like, yeah, and the back has this kind of, what is it? Like a 12 panel comic book that
I
I
love
actually
it. I
drew
love.
this in stick figures, and he made it into a proper comic.
That's so interesting. I have such a deep love for comic books.
Yeah,
And I've actually bought several albums over the years just because it would have artwork like that, like yours. And not one time has it steered me wrong. I'm like, if someone has comics on there's some kind of spiritual connection there, and somehow that music is going to connect with me.
yeah. Well, you can, if you want to buy that record, it's sold out on Bandcamp, but it's still available on, well, you go Discogs, you'll find it, or well, probably.
Okay, here it is. So I'm on zoid.bandcamp.com, ZOID
Yeah,
bandcamp.com. And then this is what comes up, all your stuff here. That's
yeah,
awesome. So let's talk about the I don't want to keep you too long, and I need to jet pretty soon too.
Cool.
Uh, but the business of this, I'm very interested in because obviously we make no money from our music getting streamed. But what about how has Bandcamp been for you? Because I feel like nobody just discovers music on Bandcamp. It's always they've got to know you, and then you're like, hey, go here to listen to my music.
Yeah, Bandcamp is like a small amount of income from digital music sales, and with merch, it's like attempting to break even is tricky. With a record, like I only got 100 of those pressed, so it was never going to break even. It's like a kind of
A lot of money. It's,
yeah,
it's like
like
with CDs where you could get 1,000 CDs for $1 a piece.
yeah.
How much does it to press 100 records? How much does that cost per record?
Um, it was around £10 a record,
Yeah,
or maybe a bit
sell
more than that.
and then you sell it for what, like 25 pounds, 30 pounds,
£20, yeah, £20.
which
But
is
also, I
20
got
pounds
it.
about $30 US. Do you know?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Most records here are anywhere from 30 to $50.
All right. Well, I also got a distribution deal with that. So, like, the distribution company did get the record into shops like as far away as Russia and, Europe, but there wasn't a lot of orders. So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, they sent me like £150. I was like, wow, unbelievable. That's amazing. But I already spent 1,000.
That no, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's this one band that I've been talking with about potentially going on the road with them. They were just explaining to me, and you and I, we're business guys. I never thought I would be a businessman. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. No interest in any of that. But the longer I've been doing business, the more I appreciate it. And I go back and forth from like being excited about business to like hating all of capitalism. I probably shouldn't
Yeah.
say that, but I don't know. Like I go to like these extremes uh, on a day to day. Like uh, overall, I support capitalism and free market stuff with balance, checks and balances. I'm not full on Ayn Rand like I don't think you ever, by the way, side note, got sucked into all of that like the rest of us did. Did you become a Randian disciple like the rest of us in the cult?
Not like I did read the books, and I still think she has some good ideas in there, but I didn't ever like really get into the philosophy side of it. But it's funny you're talking about this though. Do you know Ben Jordan, the YouTuber?
No, I don't.
No, Ben Jordan's a great YouTuber and more on the electronic side of things. But he just made this video about capitalism, which is a really interesting video. Anyone should watch it, and why he thinks it's not working well. Which is some really valid points in there. And I've been like more on the side of like my American friends who are like, gung ho about business and capitalism stuff. But yeah, it's really not. It's like the boomers did really well, and then Gen X not so much. Like I really feel sorry for millennials and Gen Zs. Like one big reason why we left Ireland was the housing crisis there is insane. Rent is insane. No one can
Really?
afford a house. Like no one can afford a house. Like terrible.
Wow. Yeah, it's like that here in the state. Now here in the area I'm in, there's several cities close by that are the fastest growing cities in all of America.
Right.
So this part of North Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, and the surrounding areas is like just blowing up like crazy. So like my house, because we bought it 15 years ago, we could afford it. I couldn't afford this house today. I could not buy the house that I live in today. I mean, it's insane the housing costs and the idea of. So I'm like you in that I've tended to be pro capitalism, and the older I get, I'm starting to kind of shift away from. I'm a little jaded about it now.
Yeah, but like basically though, yeah, I'm similar to you with the ups and downs. Like it's really hard to grow a business, but when I plan to like move over here, teach guitar online, but also start an online course, an electronic music course, which is called Foundations for Electronic Music Makers. So I'm like, I was thinking that would become like my main business, main income. And I'm like, when did I start? I started in July 2024. So it's like, 6, 7, 8 months in, 9 months in. And like, it is building, but it's slow, and trying to get ads to work on Meta, they're like, oh, they're really tough to crack.
My
I
so
do really
Meta,
funny ones though.
my Meta ads are. I'm having the first success I've ever had with Meta ads. Fortunately, I have a really good business mentor who is helping me with that and like very hands on with when I'm like, hey Justin, I don't think this is working, and he's like, no, it is. Give it a little more time, and sure enough. I feel like that was a big thing for me was just not running ads long enough to give them time to. I guess the algorithm with Meta, um, it improves the ads kind of over time.
Yeah, yeah.
So now the thing I'm offering is free, is a free guitar course that I'm selling. So I'm losing money, but instead of getting like 10 email list subscribers per week organically, like I get through my YouTube channel, I'm getting like 10 a day, spending $20 a day on Meta. So that's about a 5 time increase in growth. So yeah. So I'm excited that that's working. So when you run ads on Meta, and are you focused on selling your course primarily?
Yeah, yeah. The ads are like basically funny ads to get people over to the website page for my course, and then they can watch a longer video, 6-minute video, and then basically that
Oh wait,
is
hold on, real quick. Tim, what's up, man? Speaking of, here's a guy who knows electronics music really well. Tim says, "What's your ROI
return on advertising spent.
with those Meta ads?" So yeah, I'll let you answer that question, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, this in March I spent like roughly £600 on ads and made £1,000 roughly, so £400 return, which is,
You turned a
it's not
profit.
like, it's not a job yet, like it's not a living wage, but I want to kind of get it working so that I can increase it and scale it up, and then like have an actual job business there.
But I feel like that's so important is that you have proof of concept, right?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
It's so when you like when I got I don't know if Jay is still on at this point, but who was on at the beginning of the stream, he was my first online guitar student. So he was the first stranger from the other side of the planet to sign up for lessons with me and say, yeah, I like this guy from YouTube, I'm going to do it. And as soon as that happened, then I was able to get several more because all of a sudden mentally I was like, okay, this is real. Somebody does want this. And I find
Yeah.
this with running ads. So Tim, to answer your question on my side, my return on investment so far is zero, because right now I'm just giving away something for free and trying to build my email list from that. But my cost per lead is around I think $7, or maybe it might have even been as low as two to $3. If I'm spending $20 a day, getting 10 per day, it's about $2 per email for me, and that I'll spend all day every day. That's worth it because one email list subscriber, even if I get 100 people on my email list, if I only convert one of those into a long-term student, I've more than made back my money because it's potentially worth thousands of dollars depending on how long someone stays.
Yeah. It's harder to track the actual return on the investment for the ads for you because it's like steps in between. Whereas it's like when you have like a direct kind of, someone clicked on the ad and then they bought the thing, then you can see how else, like you can kind of go, oh, I'm going to scale that one up. That ad works really well. But you can also do that in terms of like how many people, sign up for the free course.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd be really curious. I thought about testing like selling a course directly, and my business mentor Justin, he's like, right now, Eric, I don't want you to try to make any money from that. You're gonna try to make your money once they've opted in and they're on your email list, and do it. Focus on the email marketing side of it. But it's very, to me, the proof of concept for my ads is there because I started running these about a month ago, and like every few hours, boom, new lead coming coming in, and having that consistent flow there. At least that piece of my business, cool, that works. Now I need to optimize this next step to convert them. So, but you're getting people who have you've never met, you've never talked to, they're not on your email list. They're seeing your ad and they're like, "Cool, I want to buy that course."
Yeah.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's really cool. But the thing that's not cool is it's it's unpredictable. Like in February, it took a couple of weeks, no sales, and then there was a 10-day period where there was like 5 cold sales. And I was just like, oh, happy days. Here we go now. I've cracked it. It's all good. Now I'm gonna make loads of money. But then after those, it just stopped again. And then and during
With,
that
with not
period,
anything to the ad.
did I a couple of things happened. Like one thing was I had two ad accounts. One was in euro, my old one, and one was in pounds, my new one. And Facebook suspended the new one for no reason, like just on some kind of technicality, and that kind of put a spanner in the works for a couple of weeks. They actually suspended the account twice. Like the first time I sent them all the documentation they asked for, they reinstated it, and like a week later they suspended it again. It got suspended for like, it was like really frustrating. I'm just like, oh god. So it interrupted the whole thing, and then it took a couple of weeks to get back on track, and now it's back on track again, and
Okay.
all that kind of ups and downs. That really messes with your head when you're doing
Oh,
it.
don't I know it? Yeah, because you think you've unlocked something, and then something can change. At least for me right now with my ads, it's um, I'm I'm seeing consistency with it, but I know that at some point uh, that may stop, and then I have to change it up, and then maybe I can go back to the ad. Let's see. Tim says, yeah, yes, whatever your LTV is for the average student. Yeah, yeah. So for me, lifetime value of an average student is around a couple $1,000s. So to pay $7 to or a couple dollars to get somebody on my email list to the point where they may convert into that long-term student, even if they just buy the course. And then I want to see your ad. Yeah, I'd be happy to show you my ad. I can send it to you later to show.
If you want to see anyone's ad, the facebook.com/library. You can see anyone's ad. You can just go to that. You can see any ad you want. You put in the Facebook, like, or person you're looking for their ad. You should watch my ads. My ads are genuinely entertaining. I do really funny ads.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna look them up. What do you run your ads under? Like, what's your business name for the course?
It's my yeah, ZOiD.
Oh, it
ZOiD
is.
is my
Okay,
business
so
name.
you do ZOiD as like the stage name, as
Yeah.
your and as your instructor name. So it's not to you. It's not like two different things. It's a very integrated thing.
Yes, exactly, which
Cool.
is what I really wanted to move away from having a music school that was not really me. It was like, this other thing that was called Ultimate School of Music. And it was like, I just, after a while, I was like, this is not me. I'm ZOiD is me. I'm like kind of quirky, weird. I want to have fun and do funny ads. And, just like, I'm not like a serious person. So,
Yeah, and when you run
in the terms of like,
sort of,
I have humor,
yeah,
so I want to just go with that and be myself. And that's what I do on my ads. And the ads seem to be working well like that. And then, so yeah, I'm ZOiD is my music name, composer name, teacher name for electronic stuff. And yeah, it seems to work well that way. More genuine, it's more genuine.
yeah. I so what's been yeah because I came up with the most just like stereotypical music school name you could have, which was insert city name music school, right? It was Fort Worth Music Academy. And so to me, I felt like there was no personality to it, and that was gone. I will say this though: after selling the music school and seeing what it became, um, I, in my mind, seeing things from my very narrow lens, I was like, our music school has no personality. There's nothing special about us. As soon as I stepped foot into the new music school, when the new owners took over, I was like, oh my gosh, our music school did have a personality to it. I just didn't realize it. To me, it felt very sterile, but who I am really, even though I wasn't even doing most of the teaching, who I am was permeating through the school. So I'd be willing to bet that your music school had more of the ZOiD personality than
Yeah,
you.
no, it definitely did. It definitely did. Like it was a brilliant community. It was me and Lisa, we kind of mentored young people, and we had a lot of adults that we were very close to, and it did have a lovely vibe and lovely community. But when you're my one of my big takeaways, my like kind of light bulb things is when you're a business owner, if it's not your number one passion in the world, it's really hard to I was not going on social media making posts about guitar every day because I was excited about that. And that's what it kind of takes to build something and keep building it. Is like you have to be constantly promoting it.
Yeah,
And, I was constantly promoting ZOiD because that was my,
your
that
passion.
was more, yeah, my main passion is like the music that I make as ZOiD. So I was like, my new business will be all built around that, and it kind of brings together everything that I've ever done. So the jazz side is in there, and the electronic side is in there, and all the teaching experience that I got actually from the school and from guitar teaching, that is really valuable to do this electronic music course, because I feel like a lot of courses in that world are very technical and dry and kind of boring.
Yeah, yeah. That no, that totally makes sense. I will say, yeah, that's one of the things I think you and I both learned about running a music teaching business is not just the bones of how to run a business, but how to actually teach well. We
Yeah.
learned we did learn a lot of great teaching tools.
Yes,
Even though our
definitely.
leader was a sociopath, there were some good ideas.
Now there were, and just being able to do it for so long. When you teach people for that long, you just get better and better at it. Like, thousands of people pass through, so all the experience. Do music full time. Oh, you watched my ad. Yeah, nice one. A funny little skit with me being two people. But yeah, the refund policy and refund rate, I have 100% refund for 1 week on my course. So if someone buys the course that it's not for them, they don't like it, 100% refund on it within 1 week.
I like that on a course doing like 1 week because 30 days is kind I don't know, kind of too long with that. I'll do 30-day if someone is becoming like one of my personal students. But when it comes to the course, like just selling a course by itself, I think I do 1 week as well.
Yeah, how many people have turned none so far? It's like 40 people have done it. None.
So yeah, Daniel, Tim is like us in that he is a musician and he is great with the electronics and stuff, but he's also incredibly business minded and entrepreneurial as well. Tim and I met through Threads. I was on
Oh,
Threads and I saw one of his posts, and he has a community on School, Skool, that
yeah.
platform, do music full time on School, and he's got this community that he's building there. And
Brilliant.
some cool stuff, and he goes live several times a week to like just answer people's technical questions about the two of you could have a field day talking about the ins and outs of electronic music production stuff.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to like link up.
Chloe, I'm just here to lurk and be nosy. Good to see you. Chloe is married to Jay. I think you guys are married, right? I don't know. They're partners, and so she is on the Isle of Wight as well. Daniel, have you been to the Isle of Wight?
Never been. I just know where it is.
It looks beautiful. I Googled it, and it reminds me of, and I've never been to Ireland either, but it reminds me of like the pictures I see of Ireland and that whole thing, the cliffs of Dover and all that, right? Isn't that a place around there?
Only got as far as proposing. Well, that's something.
Hey, okay, yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. Perfect. All right. Well, good. Well, Daniel, I'm gonna let you go. I'm glad we got to catch up, and I'm so grateful for the time that we were in EGTIC, because even though it became just such an awful place over time, I feel like once all of us got out of it and sort of like formed our therapy group on Facebook to deal with that trauma, like we all kind of returned to our normal selves and
Yeah.
learned a lot through the experience.
Yeah. That, like, I've never mentioned anything about it on my channel because it's not really relevant because I don't talk about guitar much or anything. But so if anyone's watching this, they're probably like, "Oh, that sounds like an interesting story. I'll have to talk about it more." But yeah, basically, yeah, I've been just in the last week or two, I've been reaching out to a good few of the guitar teachers, talked to Daryl and who else messaged Lauren Bateman
Yeah.
and like, yeah, I've got it. Like, there's loads and loads of people that I'm really got to met. Oh yeah, Ryan as well. Ryan's in Nashville.
Yeah, yeah. Ryan and Ashley, they're in
Yeah.
Nashville. Yeah, yeah. So
So
he was like one of the last people that I kind of reconnected with after all those years, because it 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 was a while before he left. But yeah, he and I were very close, and then
yeah,
didn't talk for several years, and it was just weird how it was like when we were all there it was great, and then as soon as somebody left, it was like shunned. You're cut off, and some people were mature enough and smart enough to be like, "That's dumb,"
yeah,
but not me. I was not smart enough until afterwards, and then I was like, "How could I have been so dumb to like cut people out of my life?" And then yeah. So what a great learning opportunity that was.
it was pretty mad. It was pretty mad.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think
Anyway, we'll
we
have
all
to
got.
keep in touch more often because yeah, we got a lot of kind of similar experiences, and it's great chatting. It's great chatting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so zoid.bandcamp.com, and then where can people find your electronic music courses?
The course, you can find it on my website, zoid.ie/course will bring you there. And
Okay.
there's other stuff about whatever I do on my website, zoid.ie.
Okay, and I'll put that in the description as well when we're done for anybody that goes back to watch this. So yeah, this was fun. This was kind of my first experiment in going live with somebody on YouTube.
It's
So
really cool, actually. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot easier than arranging a Zoom interview and then exporting it and editing it and uploading it. It's much easier than that.
yeah, yeah. And I've just had a lot of luck going on. Like I don't have to hook up any fancy mics or anything. I just turn it on and I just start like playing guitar and people just come and hang out, and it's so easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was already thinking of doing it like when you mentioned it. So I was like, oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think I'll start doing it as well. Sounds like a good plan.
And I think you'll have fun. Like for me, on days that I just don't like, I'm like, I don't feel like playing guitar today. I don't feel like writing any music. I don't, and I'm just not inspired. I turn on live, and then I start kind of interacting with the people in the chat. And before you know it, that like social aspect of it is there. And then the creative juices start flowing. And then, yeah, it instantly kind of brings me out of that funk.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And I brought it up, zoid.ie. Nice. And I
Hey,
like
nice
the
one.
simple layout there. All right. Well, tell Lisa I said hi, and man, we'll talk soon.
Yay. Okay. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Oh, and I'm gonna hit you up. I'll send you an email to see about including your a link to your course. I'll promote it to my email list.
Cool. Thanks. I'll yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay. All right. Bye. Talk to you later.
See ya. See ya. Talk to you, Eric. Bye.